Hey, this is Trevor, driving home to my house right now from my office. And this week is what they call Graffiti Week here in Roseburg, where we live. And all week long, it's like car shows and bands, and we did the 4th of July, big old huge celebration, all that kind of stuff. So it's always a pretty fun week, and it happens to be a lot of it goes on the street right outside of our offices. So it's kind of cool seeing all the old cars driving around outside. But if you've been a follower of the CarrotCast for a while, you saw a few months back I started adding in these talks while I'm driving to and from my house, or I'm on trips or something like that. Because these are oftentimes when I'm doing some thinking, and I live about 15 minutes from the office. And that's one thing that I really, really enjoy, honestly, is having that time to decompress, having that time to drive and do some thinking. And one thing that popped up, I had a good friend of mine from college, played baseball together. They're at Oregon Tech here in Oregon, an amazing university. If you're looking for anything around engineering, computer science, man, it's an amazing university. I'm on the board at that school foundation. Truly believe in its mission. But we went there to school together. He's a contractor now and just went out on his own to start his own business. And that was something that I definitely have been speaking in his ear over the years, and I think he saw a lot of what we've been doing here, and it inspired him to jump out on his own and take a chance. And he's been several months into starting his own company, and there's a lot of parallels to being an investor. There's a lot of parallels to starting a company as an investor, whether you're wholesaling and flipping, or buy and hold, or whatever it is, or any other type of business. But he's getting clientele, so he has no problem getting clientele, but he's still a solo entrepreneur. He's the only person working in his business. So that means he's quoting out, he's bidding out the jobs, he's getting materials, he's doing the building. And what he's found is he's working pretty much every day, nights, weekends. And we were chatting last night, and he said, you know what, I'm going to put my head down for the next 6 to 12 months or whatever it is. Then I'll hire someone and hopefully be able to build up some capital, some business capital in the next 6 to 12 months so I can hire someone. And I'm like, man, so I totally get where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from, that you want to have that safety and that security net financially to be able to, quote unquote, afford an employee. Because I had the exact same mindset. Hiring your first employee is hard. At least it was for me. Hiring your first employee is hard because for me, I had to get over the mindset of that money that I was paying them being an expense versus an investment. Because oftentimes when we hire those first 1, 2, 3 employees, we look at it as an expense for some reason. It's kind of weird. And we look at it as an expense, as in this person is going to cost me $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month or whatever that number is. And if you're bringing in $6,000 a month, let's say, because the business is new, and you look at $4,000 a month of it going straight out the door, you're going, man, how am I going to make money now? How am I going to put food on my table? And it's immediately that our mind goes in that direction, that adding that person takes away from me versus adding to me, versus adding to the business, versus adding to my income, adding to my happiness, adding to everything. Okay? And what we have to do when we're hiring people or growing those teams is, first of all, I'm going to give you a couple of things I've learned with hiring people. We're 14 people strong with Carrot now. We'll probably end up closer to 17 or 18 by the end of the year. And by the end of next year, it'll probably be pushing 25 or so. But what I've learned and I've had to learn is the first hire is the hardest, was for me, because that's where you've got to mentally separate a hire from being an expense. Okay, the hire should be an investment, and those first 3 hires for sure should always make you money. No, those first 3 hires should never cost you money. Okay, and I'm not saying that they're all 100% commission. I don't have anyone on my team that's 100% commission. What I'm saying is there's certain opportunity costs that Jake, my buddy, is giving up in exchange for not hiring someone. Okay, so while he's out there shopping for parts and he's out there doing bids, or he's doing some basic construction work, he's not able to do the other things. So if he's over there doing some basic construction work that he can find someone else to do and pay them $15 an hour, pay them a good wage and find the right person for it, or 20 an hour, or whatever that number is, 25 for the right person, he can be out there quoting new jobs. So now they're able to do, let's say, 1.5 times to 2 times more jobs, right? In theory. Also, let's say they're doing a job and now their average job takes 6 weeks, but with 2 people, they can shorten it down to 5 weeks or to 4 weeks. And then you look out through the whole year, and if you're able to trim a full week to 2 weeks off of your time period to get a job done, and a year has 52 weeks, now you've just trimmed, you've made it so, every 4 weeks you can do a new job. You can do 12 jobs versus before it was more like 8 jobs. And if your average profit on a job, once again, making these numbers up, but if your average profit on a job was, let's say, $5,000 or $10,000, let's just go with $10,000, and you're able to do an extra 3-4 jobs, that's an extra $30,000 or $40,000. So what does that do? That magically paid for your employee for you times more, because I'm using very, very conservative numbers. So if you're an investor or an agent listening to this and you're looking at things, a great example. So good friends of mine, they're my real estate agents here locally. The G team, they're in the Carrot offices about a month or two back, and we were walking through some things I thought they could do to really ramp things up. And one of them brought up, they said, you know what, we could really use some sort of a transaction coordinator or an assistant or an administrator. And I'm going, man, you guys don't have one right now? They're the number one team for Century 21 in all of the Northwest, all the Pacific Northwest. And they're here in little old Roseburg, Oregon. And I'm going, man, you guys don't have anyone doing all the little stuff for you guys, like calling the title companies and drafting up those contracts and doing all that random stuff that needs to be done, running out keys to a seller or a buyer for some reason that whatever happened, or running over and putting pamphlets here and flyers here and going out and taking pictures. There's all kinds of stuff that is an opportunity cost for that agent. And while we look at it as, oh man, I want to find someone I want to find an intern who I can pay $12 an hour because it seems like it's low cost. Add up those numbers, and $12 an hour, don't quote me on this is in my head, $12 an hour is like $18,000 to $20,000 a year, right? If they work full-time 40 hours a week. But what's the quality of person we're going to get there? What I would do is I'd go find someone who's amazing, who's awesome, who you're going to pay $15 to $20 an hour, who's going to be maybe part-time at the start because they don't need full hours. Maybe you don't need them full hours. And then you can ramp it up from there. But then have that person doing all that stuff. And that might save you an hour a week, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, something like that. During those 10 hours a week, you're out there pounding the pavement or working up your contacts, getting new listings. You're out there dreaming up ways you can scale your business up. You're out there doing interviews on the radio and writing content and building that expertise in the market while all the transactional stuff is getting done for you. Okay? And that right there is how you scale up a business. That's how you kind of gain true freedom from your business, is you got to hire people. You've got to have great people. You've also got to have great systems that you can create to train those people how to do some of those things you're currently doing. So that's got to come first. Okay? And you got to pay the people well. Okay? I've had the mistake many times of trying to go cheap with it and going, you know what, I'm just going to hire some of the cheapest I can get that seems like a good person that I can train. And what usually happens is if it's that person, they're probably getting paid that wage for a reason, and that they can't get a higher wage. You're going to be investing a ton of time training them and iterating and going back and fixing their mistakes because they're just not an expert in whatever it is, and maybe they never will be, or it's going to take them too long. But if you pay that extra $5, $6, $7, $8 an hour, whatever it is, to get an amazing person who is going to give you 1.5 times or 2 times the results of that cheaper person, all of a sudden you create a bigger leverage in your business, and you're going to have a lot less stress, more fun, more profits. You're going to have more money in your bank account while you created an amazing job for someone else. All right. So let's skip over to the real estate investor side of things. So what can an investor do here? All right. So if you're a house flipper or a wholesaler, and let's say you're already making some income, you probably shouldn't do this if you're not making an income yet. All right. Get your first few deals underway. Get your systems down. You've got to have systems down before you can start to bring someone in to do those things for you. Okay, so if you've done 1 deal or 2 deals or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, and it's all on your back, you were out there door knocking or whatever it was, or you got lucky and you got some referrals, that is probably not the time to hire someone. Okay, figure out something that's repeatable, that's consistent for you, that's earning you revenue. Okay, document it, whip out your phone and talk through it, or get a video camera, and film yourself doing that, or sit down and write it, type it out, whatever those activities are that are consistent and predictable, that are creating that revenue for you. okay? And then find the things that are the highest value and lowest value in those things, and things that you're really good at and things you don't like to do. Those things that are really important but lower value, all that transactional stuff, and you probably don't love to do those things, document them, okay? It'd take you a day, like literally a day to document those things. And then go find someone to do that. And once you find someone to do that, that's consistent, that's repeatable. It helps to increase the bandwidth in your machine. Now you can go out there and get more business and put into that machine so that person can process more for you, okay? So magically, they just paid for themselves. That team member didn't cost you anything, and enabled you to do more of the work you love, enabled for you to profit more, yourself, your business, and provide someone a great job. And it's going to really teach you how to delegate more. All right, so hopefully this kind of helped you crack through some of that brain clutter in your mind around growing your team, around hiring people. I know I had to go through that, and sometimes I still do. But now whenever I look at hires, I'm willing to pay people way more than I ever was, because I know the value of the right person in the right spot at the right time into the right system, and how much it ends up making me and our business and making our lives easier, okay? So eliminate the thought in your brain of employees being an expense. Dial in the systems after you have some things that are consistent and repeatably creating income and business for you. And then go out there, find the best people you can find, pay them well, okay, and make it so their position pays for themselves. All right, have an amazing time. I'm pulling into my house right now. Have an amazing weekend. I'm recording this right now on a Friday. My parents are coming up for the car shows this weekend, and we're meeting the designer and the contractor at the house here. And should be an awesome weekend. Thank you guys for listening. Check out the other episodes of the CarrotCast. If you have not, we have a whole series on hiring. Go back in the archives. Go back to CarrotCast.com. Look in the archives, and we talk about everything. How to find the best people. What is the Colby score, and why is it important when we hire out people? So to make sure you put them in the right positions. And we have some other things on hiring as well. If you're looking at hiring a personal assistant, we have a two podcast series here in the CarrotCast. I think it's around episode 20 to 30, right around there, maybe 10 to 20, on how to hire an assistant, how that helped me get 10x my productivity, and the exact processes and how to train that assistant and get them to dial up things and really regain your time and create a great job for them. All right, check out the archives. Give us a rating and review in iTunes, and we'll talk to you next time.